I still remember exactly how she said it. Calm, certain, colder than winter rain. I just don't feel like being touched anymore, she whispered, her back to me, eyes glued to the glow of her phone. After 8 years of marriage, that sentence cut deeper than any fight ever could. Her name was Lena, and not long ago, she couldn't stand a single day without holding me close. We used to spend weekends wrapped around each other on the couch, laughing over nothing. But lately, she had become a ghost in her own home. Her laughter stopped echoing. Her perfume stopped lingering. Her warmth gone. At first, I thought maybe it was stress.
Work. Hormones.
Something temporary. But weeks turned into months, and every attempt to reconnect ended in the same quiet rejection. I'm just not in that headspace. Okay, she'd sigh, moving away from my hand as if my touch burned. And I'd nod, pretending I understood. Because what else could I do? I stopped trying. The distance became routine. She on her phone, me on mine. We lived like polite strangers sharing bills in a bed no one used. That's when Hannah started coming around more often. Lena's best friend. Bold, outspoken. The kind of woman who filled every silence with laughter. She'd known us since college. Back then, I saw her as the mischievous one. Always teasing Lena. Always pushing boundaries. At first, I assumed her visits were out of concern. Maybe she noticed how cold things had become between us. Maybe she pitied me. Hey, you look half alive, she joked one evening, tossing her bag on a chair. Just tired, I said, forcing a smile. Yeah, or maybe emotionally starved. I laughed it off, but the way she looked at me lingered. It wasn't playful. Something in her gaze held intent. That night, Lena came home late, barely acknowledging either of us, and disappeared into the bedroom. Hannah stayed, sipping wine, watching the hallway. You deserve better, you know, she said softly. I didn't answer. Over the next few weeks, she became a constant presence, always appearing when Lena wasn't around or about to leave. Sometimes she brought dinner. Sometimes just conversation. You've lost weight, she remarked once, her fingers brushing my wrist as she handed me a plate. Yes, stressed as that, I muttered. Her hand lingered. Neither of us spoke. The air was thick, heavy, dangerous. I pulled away first, but she didn't stop. Flirting became tension. Tension became temptation. Then one evening it happened. Lena had texted she'd be staying at her sister's for the weekend. Hannah showed up with a bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses. Consider this an intervention, she smiled. For what? I asked. For loneliness. We drank, talked about old times, about how Lena used to be, about how things had changed. At some point, she leaned closer. Her perfume, something citrusy, sharp, cut through the whiskey haze. She's crazy to treat you this way, she whispered. Do you know how many women would kill just to be touched by someone who still looks at them the way you do her? I looked up, confused. Comfort?
Confession?
Then her hand rested on my chest. I've always wanted to, she said. My breath caught. The world went still. I could hear the hum of the fridge, the soft patter of rain, my heart pounding like it wanted to escape. I should have stopped her, pulled back. But after months of silence, neglect, rejection, her touch felt like air. The rest happened too fast. When it was over, I sat there, breathless, guilty, oddly hollow. Hannah rested her head against my shoulder, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Rain tapped against the window, a reminder that nothing stays hidden forever. You don't have to feel bad, she murmured, tracing circles on my arm. It's not like she cares anymore. But I did feel bad. Deep down, I knew I'd crossed a line I could never uncross. For the next few days, I moved through life like I was underwater. Lena returned Sunday evening, cheerful in her perfected, distant way. She kissed me on the cheek, a meaningless gesture, and unpacked her bag. How was your weekend? I asked, trying to sound normal. Peaceful, she said simply. She didn't notice the subtle shift in me. Or maybe she did and didn't care. 2 days later, Hannah texted.
Can we talk?
I ignored it. Another followed. I miss you. I deleted them. Guilt clung to me like a second skin. Every time I looked at Lena, I wondered what she'd do if she knew.
Laugh.
Shrug. But fate doesn't wait for permission to destroy what's left. A week later, I came home early. The house was quiet. Lena wasn't in the living room, but faint voices drifted from upstairs. Her voice and someone else's. My heart raced. I crept up the stairs, mind spinning through possibilities I didn't want to believe. The bedroom door was slightly ajar. I pushed it open just enough to see her, phone on speaker, talking to Hannah. "I think he suspects something," Lena said casually. My blood ran cold. "What did you expect?" Hannah replied. "You've been distant for months." "Yeah, well, that was the plan. I needed him desperate. I wanted to see how long before he'd break." Silence. Then Hannah laughed softly. "And he did break," she said. Lena's lips curved into a smirk. "Oh, I know. He thinks I don't know what he did." My throat went dry. Every nerve froze. They'd planned it. The distance. The rejection. The manipulation. All of it a test. "If he ever cheated, even once," Lena continued, her voice dripping with amusement, "I'd have every reason I needed to end this on my terms. He gave me exactly what I needed." I stepped back. My foot brushed the doorframe. The sound made her turn. "Ryan," she said, mock surprise on her face. I didn't speak. I just stared at the woman I had loved, the betrayal stacked upon betrayal. Hannah's voice came through the phone, faint but clear. "So he heard." Lena ended the call. "Guess you finally found your courage," she said, standing slowly. "Too bad it came too late." My voice cracked. "You used me." She tilted her head. "You made it easy." There was nothing left to say. I walked out, not because I wanted to, but because staying would have meant drowning. That night, I drove aimlessly. Streetlights blurred into golden streaks. My mind replayed every smile, every lie, every touch. By the time I stopped at the old pier, the whiskey on my breath matched the bitterness in my chest. It wasn't just the cheating that broke me. It was realizing how meticulously it had been orchestrated. Weeks passed. Divorce papers followed. She got what she wanted, the house, the sympathy, the clean image. But sometimes, late at night, I still remember Hannah's last words before everything fell apart. "I always wanted to." Maybe she did. Maybe they both did. Not out of desire, but out of control. And me. I learned something vital. Betrayal doesn't always begin with a lie. Sometimes it starts when someone tells you they won't touch you, and they mean it, for reasons you could never have seen coming.